they're charging?
I think it might be charging now. This one's not charging. This one's on. Something's picking up something.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to.
That's what you want some other. The mics aren't on. Okay, it hasn't been, or was it charging?
It has.
Okay. Well, then good. I won't touch it.
But I'm trying to go out in the hall and see if it's being picked up. Or two?
Yeah. Okay.
So I'm going out in the hall. I can hear better.
Yeah. Yeah.
The mics aren't working?
Well, they might be working now, but I can't adjust it super easily. Oh, wait, here we go. Yeah, you want the table? Well, what I'd like to do, and I say this, I think this every year, and we haven't done it. I'd like to be able to get it where we can have like the presentation like as separate overlay slides or whatever. Actually, because they get whitewashed so bad. Yeah, we don't have a Zoom on that camera. It's not quite like it. Test.
Oh.
like on YouTube.
No, put the link on the page.
Okay, yeah, I should figure out what that is. If I go, I have this video. Yeah, I was gonna put it on the kids.
If I put it on the website, you can
Do that. That'll be good.
I mean, I put it back in, so now I can talk. Not now, like nothing changed.
Is it like showing up?
So I switched this. Hey, that's picking up something. But like, I can't tell if it's that or not. I don't know how to test that.
Hello.
A bit of a delay here. I mean, sure. I got that from up now. Oh, that's pretty loud. I think it was when you were standing here, but it hurt. Oh, that might be working. Oh, that.
Sharon, how are you? Did you say blue sweatshirt? Blue hoodie and that?
Listen now.
But is it delayed? Hey.
I mean, that. Yeah, but it's spiking now too.
Hello. Hello. I mean, it's not this off now, so this is the only
Oh, okay.
thing on right now.
So I guess it's coming from that, but I don't think that'll be a very good output.
Right. So is it even like recognizing this?
It doesn't seem like it.
What's this device?
That's
Oh.
the webcam. But go here. This webcam C90 is that for sure. Then like for sure, yell at that thing again.
Hello.
Yeah, see that one's red. Oh, and you kicked it back in. Like it's clearly coming from that now. Worst case scenario, I guess I could just leave it there.
Yeah. I've also got that Jabra hockey puck. These aren't gonna.
But I don't know. Microphone array. Like, is that these? I don't know. It's not spike when I do this or anything. You think it's spiking right now? For sure, seem to be getting. We can seem to get audio if I just do it through there, but that's just not going to be as good quality as like these.
Right.
For some reason, these don't. I'm not sure what. It seems like these aren't necessarily working,
Okay.
but it's hard to know that too. Well, that was you. That was you earlier, I think, when you were standing here.
I was talking into that.
Oh, yeah, you're right. That's when you yelled at that. So, I mean, she'll be, whoever we're talking about on the microphone, so as long as they use that microphone, the room will be loud. It should probably kind of.
Well, anyway, take this anyway.
Just in case.
Okay. But is it, doesn't it do one or the other? Like if you plug this in, it disconnects the sound from there?
Probably, yeah.
But that'd be good. It starts turning up the sound.
I mean, if that doesn't work, I can always just switch to this.
Okay.
At least have something.
All right. It's on now? Okay. All right.
I don't have it on a link on the page yet. That's what I'm working on right now. But it's still already live technically. Just I don't have the link for it put on yet. So I'm working on that. It's just going slow. Yeah. You know, I do what we can do. You know.
Sure words have never been spoken.
No, I do.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We get started. My name is Yvonne Nancy, and I'm the president of the National Park Travelers Club. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Before we begin, I want to make a few quick announcements. First, please take a minute to silence your cell phone. Second, I want to direct everyone to our post-convention surveys. We moved to doing those digitally now. The survey will be sent out in an email tomorrow, and it's going to be sent to everybody who registers. So unfortunately, if people register and they didn't actually show up, they're still going to get one. If you have multiple people in your party, it would be helpful to have extra feedback. So if you're only getting one email, it's going to go to the person who filled out the registration. So you can use, there's a QR code on page 19 of the stamp pad that you can use, or you can just forward the email to them and they can use the Google link that way too. And I also want to say a special thank you to Christine. Where's Christine? Christine, she does the survey. She's been doing the surveys usually for us every year, so I thank her for that. Fill those out because they do. We have developed a number of things from those surveys that do help us gauge what works, what doesn't work, and build on it for the next year. We also have a new process for our Q&A session. I don't know if you saw when you were registering. We have an index card, and you can write your question on the back of that index card and leave it in the basket. You can do that maybe during the break. You didn't get a chance to do that already. That's to help us with the Q&A session at the end. So if people have questions they want to ask, at the end of the meeting we'll have a Q&A. But in the past it's been like the audience trying to yell something to me and not me not being able to hear. Plus we have the live stream. We want people at home to hear the question and the answer. So that's all anonymous. You don't have to put your name on it. Just write your question on, leave it in the basket, and we'll go through and read those and try to answer those at the end of the meeting. Also, everyone who registered and paid to attend the meeting should have received your door prize ticket, a little white ticket. It says keep this coupon. We're going to have the door prizes at the end of the meeting. We've got some really, really great stuff in here, so you're going to want to stick around to the end for that. Should anyone need a bathroom, closest one out the door at the end of the hall to the left. And now I just want to introduce the rest of our board. Obviously, I'm the president. Our vice president is Robert Palmer. Where's Robert? Robert, there. Secretary Greg Bailey. other member at large, Mike Brown. Also with us here today, we probably have several prior board members. If you have served as a member of the executive board in any position, please stand and be recognized. Thank you for all you should. I'd also like to take a moment to recognize a few of our non-elected members who help us function on a regular basis. They are our master database coordinator, Scott Stieglitz. Our website administrator, Alice Wilson. And I also want to thank Scott and Stacy for organizing the kids zone again this year. Alex and Scott are also managing the live stream here today, so thanks for that. I want to recognize also our social media team, Aaron Maynard and Russ Iveson. And we also have 3 new members of the team, Christine. Is it cool? Yeah. Okay. Leanne Pettit and Fred Bokima. So they just started volunteering, so we're going to have a lot more social media presence. We're going to be on a new platform as well. So if you're into social media, I encourage you to look into that. You can also find the information on what our various addresses are in the stamp pad. Our stamp pad editor, Pat Jeanette, she was supposed to be with us, but couldn't be here. But I also want to thank her for all of her efforts in putting together the stamp pad, the quarterly newsletters that we have. And she does all that, so I want to thank her for that. Our MTA PTA review team leader, Robbie Clifford. Award applications every year, so thank her for all those efforts. She also manages the contest for our the pictures that show on our website and our Facebook page. Now I want to introduce Dr. Kane West. He's going to give some opening remarks on a welcome for us.
Good afternoon, everybody. A friend of mine just got his 296th park today. I don't know if he's part of National Park Travelers Club, but I will let you know. It's amongst fellow people who go to the parks. And as we all know, there's more than just the 63 national parks. There's 433. Sorry for those of you who hit the 426, and now you can go back to your 96. There's 433, and there'll be more in the future, parks because there are hundreds of stories around the country that mean something to the people of the United States. So you all, as people who visit national parks, are taking part in the knowledge of, the remembrance of, the appreciation of the places that tell who we are as people. So thank you all for being dedicated to that as a hobby and as hobby board members in this incredible organization. I've been in the Park Service as a volunteer, as an intern, ranger, as a student ranger, as a Park 5 guide, and now as a 7-9 park ranger since about 2012. And in 2018, I was in Joshua Tree. This is Hot Springs is my 9th park to work at. Joshua Tree, I guess, would have been my 7th. Somebody comes in and says, "Where's the secret stamps?" I don't know what you're talking about. And he says, "You have secret stamps. I know you do. They're in the drawer in the back." And then he told me about some sort of master list, something I could find online. And he's like, this is, you're on the list. And so now I know that there are people who are dedicated. Last year in April, we had the 2024 total solar eclipse here in Hot Springs. We were one of 2 national parks in the path of totality. We got our own special eclipse. Did anybody come to Hot Springs for that? We had a few people who came in. You got your special totality timestamp, so we're glad that y'all were here for that. But again, it means a lot to park rangers because our job is to tell the stories of the places that have been given to us by generations before,
And then we want to tell those stories to people for whom those stories are meaningful. And for y'all are the people who understand these stories with the most enthusiasm. Our curators, and if anybody went on some of the curator archive tours yesterday, they said that y'all were the most attentive group that they can ever imagine, and you ask all the questions, and thank you. So again, thank you all for what you do for parks and for keeping these as part of your life. Parks exist because the people choose for them to exist, and so every time that y'all visit a park, you are choosing for the Park Service to continue to be part of the American experience. So I probably have a presentation that I'm supposed to give next, but that's a little bit later.
Okay, now we're going to do the presentation of our iconic stamper. Each year our club creates a special stamper, what we call an iconic stamper, which represents the essence of the host park and commemorates our convention. This time I want to present this iconic stamper for Hot Springs National Park in gratitude for serving as our host park for this year's convention. The stamp can be placed at the host park for future visitors to enjoy as well.
This is the next thing on the list, and we will definitely have this our stamps.
Okay, we'll have Dr. West up here, and I would like to turn our attention to recognizing those who have achieved Park Visitation Award levels. We change this up a little bit every year just to try to, because it's getting long sometimes, so we want to just mix it up a little bit. So pay attention so you know when to stand or when you're supposed to come up front. For those who have visited 100 park units during their lifetime and reached bronze lifetime achievement level since our last convention, please stand and be recognized. Okay, if you visited 200 park units and you're at silver lifetime level, please stand and be recognized. For those who have visited 300 park units during their lifetime and reached gold lifetime level, please stand and be recognized. For those who have visited 400 park units and reached the titanium lifetime achievement level, please stand and be recognized. Oh, look at that, Marla's catching up. Okay, so Dr. West, with your help, we would now like to recognize those members who have reached our highest milestones in park visitation since our last convention, the lower 48 and platinum lifetime achievement levels. The lower 48 Lifetime Achievement Award is presented to members who have visited all National Park Service units in the 48 contiguous United States, including the Klondike Gold Rush National Historical Park a unit in Seattle. For many members, this award is often completed at the same time as platinum. We only have one person who did only lower 48 and not platinum, so I'm going to do those separately. The Platinum Award is presented to members who have visited every National Park Service unit in existence at the time of their last park visit. You can read their stories in the convention issue of the stamp pad, except for there was one couple, Joyce and Barry Pounders. We got their award stuff late, and so they didn't get into the stamp pad. We're going to include their story in the fall issue, just so you know why they're not in there. First, we have two people receiving only the lower 48 Lifetime Achievement Award this year. They've already been mailed their certificates. They weren't in attendance. That was Tony and Kathy Burris, who finished at Springfield 1908 Race Riot National Monument in October of 2024. We just want to recognize them. So now I'll announce those receiving both the Platinum and the lower 48 Lifetime Achievement Award. The first two people didn't attend this year, so I just want to read their names. Daryl and Kathleen Tupkin at St. Croix Island National Historic Site in August 2024, and Kyle Patterson at Aniakchuk National Monument and Preserve in September of 2024. And then we have three attendees who are going to be receiving. When I call your name, please come up and take a photo with the ranger and get your plaque certificate. Edward and Loretta Engstrom. Who's our photographers? Who's taking pictures? Me. Okay, now I want to call Joyce and Barry Pounders. I forgot to mention that Ed and Loretta finished at the Blackwell School National Historic Site in August of 2024 for, I believe, for the lower 48, and then War on the Pacific in February for the platinum, right? Okay. Yeah. So for Joyce and Barry Pounders, they finished at Francis Perkins National Monument in June 2025. You want to come up? Just stand right there. We're going to take a quick photo. Okay, our last recipient is Chris Salida, finished on July 4th. It's got like 5 certificates. Way to go. You missed the line. You want to sit for just a second? Can somebody get the group photo over here? Okay, we're good? Okay, you can all be seated. Okay, we have quite a few people who have completed platinum status prior to this year. If you're currently a platinum member, please stand and be recognized at this time. We now have, I believe, is it 106, Greg? 106? It's 106 or 107 members who are platinum. Okay, now we want to do our attendance recognition. We do this every year. I know some people moan about it, but we enjoy recognizing everyone this way. However, we are in our 23rd convention here, so we are starting to shorten it up every year. Each of you should have received a ribbon in the color of the passport region in which you live, your level, as well as your level of lifetime achievement for park visitation. But there are a few others that I would like you to specifically notice. Our bright green ribbons are for new members and those who have joined our club since last year's convention. And we have the teal ribbons for first-time convention attendees, those who are attending their very first ever convention, regardless of when they became a club member. If you are a new member, that's those of you with the bright green ribbons, please stand and remain standing. Don't sit down. This is your first convention. That's those of you with the teal ribbons. And you don't necessarily also have to be a new member, but probably many are. Please stand and remain standing. Welcome. We're very glad to have you with us this weekend. Everyone look around and please try to include new members and first-time attendees as you mingle today or tonight if you're doing the dinner. Thank you. You all may be seated. Okay, so for everyone else, if you have attended at least 2 conventions, including this one, i.e. this is not your first convention, please stand. Okay, if you were paying attention, this should now be everyone else that wasn't previously standing. All right, so if you have attended 2, 3, or 4 conventions, you may have a seat. If you have attended 5, 6, or 7 conventions, have a seat. If you have attended 8, 9, or 10 conventions. If you have attended 11, 12, or 13, sit down. If you have attended 14, 15, or 16, sit. I'm sitting now. 17? 17 you can sit? 18 you can sit? 19? Remember, there are people in the audience who have never seen this before. They're fascinated right now. 20? 20 you can sit. 21? Going once. 22. Yeah. Always the last man standing. 23 it is. You win. All right, thank you. Our first convention was held in 2003 at the Delaware Water Gap National Recreation Area, just a handful of members. We're proud to acknowledge those who have made it to these conventions and hope that the tradition will continue. Those members, as well as those who joined through 2004 when the club was first officially formed, are considered charter members of the club. If you are a charter member, you should have received the special light green color ribbon. If you're a charter member of the club, please stand and be recognized. But before we get to that, we have a special treat for everyone. Is the ranger here? No? It's not here yet?
Hopefully he's on his way.
Okay. Guess not. It's only 1:30.
Not a treat.
I don't want to have him start a presentation and all of a sudden we get bombarded. So our special treat today is we are going to have rangers from the Hot Springs National Park Canine Unit who are going to do a demonstration for us. So we're waiting for them to bring the dogs, and they're going to do that before our first speaker. figure out what the status is. If they're going to be a little longer, then we'll continue on with something else. Just don't want to start one thing and then have to shut it. And he will be speaking on hot springs and the birth of the National Park Service.
I am not the canine. In Italy, he's on his way. In Italy, my name means dog, which is very confusing to all of my exchange student Italian friends and their parents. As I talk through this today, this is actually supposed to be a longer presentation. I'm trying to condense it for you all, and I can't put once I've put something into a federal computer and downloaded it, and then put it into a non-federal computer, I can't then return it to a new computer and back. And so I will go fast on some of these screens. It's going to be like one of those action movies. Be excited. And this, yes.
I can't hear you very well.
Mic's not working.
Is it? All right.
That mic is working.
This mic is working.
The other one's for the web.
Hello? So there will be an action movie, and the sound will be even better. All right. So this will be, some of these scenes will go by fast, and by the end of this talk, what you're supposed to realize is that parks all have their own stories, but parks exist because we choose for parks to exist. Parks are cultural value statements. There are parks that were created 100 years ago that would have been for the people of that time and then sent to us. And then there are parks created today that represent the cultural values of this time, and they will also go into the future. So parks exist because you choose for them to exist. And every park has a creation story to it. Parks are going to have a resource, they're going to have a story to tell, and there's also going to be somebody or some community who's going to choose to champion that story and that place. All right, so parks, as Wallace Stegner says, are America's best idea. They're entirely democratic. Right? So parks are places where all of us can go to. They are resources for us all to share. And so you'll see that theme as we go through the history of Hot Springs. And then you'll also see the theme of community members choose for parks to exist. So as I tell the history of Hot Springs, and being a place for the people and a resource for the people, there will be inflection points in the history of Hot Springs where you will hear that some American community decided that it should be preserved for the American people. So we're listening for those three pieces of the Hot Springs story. Now, again, every park has a creation story, so does every park enthusiast. On the count of three, I want everybody to try to remember the first park that they ever went to, and then we're going to shout it out, and I'm going to hear everybody's answer at the same time. All right, so we're going to hear your creation stories on the count of three, unless you need more time. Who needs more time to remember the first park? Right. 1, 2, 3. Perfect, thank you all. I really appreciate that. Hopefully it was somewhere on this map. Mine was at the Buffalo River here, Buffalo National Scenic River here in Hot Springs, or Arkansas, the first ever National Scenic River. Again, every park has a story. I don't know if anybody recently went to this place and maybe celebrated their final thing. Yeah? Oh, yeah, that guy. I too have sat next to Old Faithful and to Giant Geyser on the 4th of July in Yellowstone, and it brought me to tears. Still does. So congratulations on that moment. I can share it with you. Yellowstone has its own origin story that people sat at the junction of the Madison and Gibbon River, I guess, fire hole and Gibbon Rivers, and they talked about what a park should be. This is probably apocryphal. We're not totally sure, but it's really good for marketing. The national park idea begins at that spot in Yellowstone. Has anybody been here? All right. Well, we have at least the person who's associated with the creation of Yosemite National Park the most. He's Scottish. I think that's a Scottish accent. John. He, going to the mountains is going home. He wanted mountain parks and reservations as fountains of life. Right? You all probably find that. Anybody know what this is? Yes, this is the Dr. Seuss book. This is Joshua Tree. Joshua Tree had its own champion, Minerva Hoyt. She's part of this early female conservationist in the National Park Service, who sort of says that the desert with its elusive beauty possessed me, and I wish to find some way to preserve it. Right? People are captured by a story, and they want to preserve it as a public space. Hot Springs, we have a similar story. We have about 4 dozen springs. Hottest water east of the Rocky Mountains, 143 degrees on average. Just under 1 million gallons of hot water a day coming out of the ground. Super cool. I don't know who this guy is, but he's having a great time. And we do have a natural history story here. The water falls into the mountains just to the northeast of us, goes down about a mile and a half beneath us, gets really hot, hits a fault line, and it comes back up to the surface quickly enough to not lose its heat. Not volcanically heated, so we're the only national park unit to have thermal waters that aren't connected to a volcano. It just has to go down super, super far, and we have to have very deep fault lines to bring that water up to the surface. And then it's pretty unusual to have hot springs out here. Most of them are in the, raise your hand if your home region is where most of the springs are. Yes, all right, so y'all didn't have to travel this far for hot springs. But we are unusual to be so far away from the main concentration of hot springs. There's about 1,600 hot springs in the United States. Again, to prove my previous point, water rains, goes down, gets hot, hits a fault line, comes back up to the surface. And if you're from California, you hear fault line and you think, uh-oh. And here we say, don't worry, it's a passive plate boundary. There's many human stories about the creation of hot springs. We are in traditional Caddo territory. I'm not going to talk as much about indigenous history on today's program, but if you drove up from Texas, anybody from Texas, you've probably been in Caddo territory the entirety of your week. Hot Springs story as a national park, though, or as a park unit, begins in 1832. We are the oldest unit in the National Park Service, I promise. And our founding documentation is extremely boring. It's section 3 of this thing, and it says, don't touch it. It's like 4 square miles, just can't build anything on it. And this is a picture of Hot Springs from 1834. We can see that by that time there's very little here, except for some steam shacks over some hot springs. That's basically the oldest bathhouse in the park. It's an inauspicious beginning. But people wanted the springs to mean something. Right, so this is we have 2 different quotes. One is that the local settlers are equally as ready to supply the poor as the rich. So people are coming to Hot Springs, they are of all different economic levels, and the local settlers wanted the waters to be for those different economic levels. And then the Arkansas Territorial Legislature believes that sentiment, and in 1820, they say if that bountiful gift of nature should be monopolized by individuals, they may withhold their aid from the afflicted poor. So even by the 1810s and 1820s, there is an effort by local constituents, by the American people, to preserve the springs as medical resources for the American people. Right, so Wallace Stegner's democratic access, we see that here in the very beginnings of Hot Springs. And I'm always trying to figure out who are those local settlers who are really the genesis of the idea of Hot Springs as a public place for the American people. And I think that her name is Sarah Percival, and I have to prove that. But I'm going to do it, and Sarah's going to get all the credit. So we have this Hot Springs Reservation set aside 1832. Nobody has any clue what that means, but we did it anyway. We aren't the only place in 1832. Does anybody know somebody else who was coming up with a national park idea circa specifically the year 1832? His name was George. His name was George Catlin. He's out in Oklahoma, and he talks about a nation's park, right? So that same national park idea. It's not water is healing, it's, hey, we want to put a fence around the Osage so they can hunt bison, and they will just stay in that cultural milieu. So there's multiple ideas about a people's park and what should be in it, whether it's a resource or people with a resource. Then time moves along. Anybody from New York City? Or is a fan of the TV show Friends? Okay. So by the 1850s, we have Central Park. The idea of Central Park is that there should be a green space because the people in cities need to get out of their houses. You're supposed to walk through the woods. A guy named Frederick Law Olmsted. Has anybody been to? There's an Olmsted. Yeah. So you all know his story. So he not only does Central Park. Where else does he go? And Yosemite. And he has some beautiful stuff that he says about green spaces for people to get out of their houses, to get out of the cities, go west. So by 1864, Yosemite, it's a state park, but part of this growing idea of a nation's park, a place for all the people. And then we get to the famous one. Has anybody been here? And the trick for this view is everybody starts to, they walk down from the parking lot and they start looking. Don't look yet. You have to walk down, refuse to look, and then you go down this ramp and then you go up to the viewpoint and you look at the Grand Canyon of the Yellowstone, and then you start jumping up for joy, and you're so excited because it's this beautiful scene. And by 1872, we have, in the legislation, there's a new articulation of what a park should be, and it is for the benefit and enjoyment of the people. So they are natural spaces, sort of the playgrounds of the people, for the benefit and enjoyment of the people. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, Hot Springs, it's looking all right. We're just here trying to meet the fundamentals. We're trying to have some bathhouses. Nobody knows what's going on in Hot Springs. There's some open springs that go into the creek that's no longer visible. There's some people who hang out in the springs with their feet probably burning, and they're just sticking their feet in the mud. There's some people who are going into the rudimentary bathhouses. I always think of the TV show Maverick, I think that's what it's called, and just really rough-hewn, sort of faux Western motif. That's your bathhouses. And so it's developing slowly. The Park Service doesn't exist. It's protected by the federal government. Nobody knows what that means, what's going on. And there's going to be a tension between the open-air springs and the bathhouses. And that tension really focuses on the Rowell Hole. Did anybody go by the Rowell Hole on one of their tours? It's probably the most famous healing spring in 19th century America. You would come to Hot Springs, you would go to a bathhouse, you would go to a hotel, and then you would walk up the hillside to see the sickest people in the United States. And you would stare at them, you would gawk at them. And then part of the story is these waters are public springs for the people. They're coming from all over the United States, and they can use the water. Bathhouse owners weren't happy about this, so there's this conflict over for whom the park should be. Right, it's the 1870s. Has anybody been to Mineral Wells, Texas, or heard of Palm Springs, or heard of Saratoga Springs, or heard of French Lick, Indiana, or heard of Berkeley Hot Springs, or any of the springs in Virginia, or the one out, the Solduck Hot Springs? Right, all these places. There are 500 mineral spa resorts in the United States. By 1900, Hot Springs is the most famous because what people want to heal us is clean water. Access to clean water is the most important public health intervention of the 19th century, and in Hot Springs, that water is given for free to some of the people, maybe. And so that's the debate around Rowell Hole. And we have two different visions, right? We have the bathhouse owners that says these shanties should be torn down and the filthy pools filled up under the doctrine of the greatest good for the greatest number. Very utilitarian. And then for the local citizen petition, they say, you know what? Listen, maybe we have the bathhouses, but we should also permit the healing waters of Hot Springs to be made available to every citizen who chooses to visit our city, be he white or black. Right? So across the economic spectrum, across the racial and social spectrum, you should be able to come to Hot Springs and somebody should be able to get the water. And so this idea of a democratic space for whom a park should be is being answered literally on the hillside of Hot Springs at a time when the concern over medical access to the American people is a central conversation. And it goes all the way to Congress, And a congressman from New York says, listen, we're going to put legislation, we're going to start to define hot springs as a place where the superintendent must provide and maintain a sufficient number of free baths for the indigent. So we have the creation of the government free bathhouse at the Mud Hole. That's the first and only ever federal bathhouse that's a medical place for the American people. And it's free. Not only that, wait, there's more. The 1880s, if anybody's ever heard of Walter Reed Medical Center, the precursor to Walter Reed Medical Center is that big old building on the hillside that is currently empty. It's the Army Navy General Hospital. It predates Walter Reed by about 20 years. One of the first permanent general hospitals in the whole country. And so by the 1880s, Hot Springs has a row of public-private bathhouses, the cost of which are maintained by the federal government. We have the government-free bathhouse, which is the one in the middle, just behind the row of fancy bathhouses, and then in the back distance, the first all-branch military hospital. Hot Springs is the nation's healing place, using water at a time when there's a concern over how do we take care of people. If you've ever heard of cleanliness is next to godliness, you are part of the residual lessons of this period of hydrotherapy of water-based treatment. The guy who pushes this is a guy named Sam. He's in the railroads. If anybody's from St. Louis, a bunch of St. Louis, some of the buildings in some of the nicer neighborhoods in St. Louis are railroad magnates, and they're building railroads to Hot Springs, just like the railroads were being built through Yellowstone, just like the railroads were being built to the Grand Canyon. And so he's sort of our person who stands in as a local who is pushing the effort for what this place should look like. It is one of the most unusual looking national parks. I understand that. So what are they protecting? Well, they are protecting, and I'm not saying it, the local marketers are saying it, the world's greatest health resort. So this is like the wellness movement before the wellness movement is cool. We have medical bathing. We have medical massage. We got fitness. We have lifestyle and leisure. If you're a baseball player, you can drink all night and other things, and then drink the water all day, and you will be just fine and dandy. It's all based around hydrotherapy, so water-based treatments. We're using the heat, we're using the steam, we're using the water itself. You can ingest it, you can have it sprayed on you, you can have it sprayed from above, from the behind, from somewhere else, from the leg, wherever you need it. You can drink it, it's supposed to help just flush you out. Not only is it physical therapy, hydrotherapy, it's also physical therapy. Some of the best did anybody see the gymnasium in the Fordyce? And because of our AC being out, we wanted to really make you go back in time to pre-AC days. I apologize. So you went up into that gym where all the heat collects, and you might have, there's these random rangers who show up doing the exercises. But physical culture takes over the United States. The whole landscape, Hot Springs has probably been designed, redesigned, and designed again for landscape purposes as much as any park in the country. Lots of trails. And the whole purpose of all of this was to rejuvenate Americans. This guy, after 21 baths, goes from a crutch to a cane, but not like a cool cane, like the Dapper Dan canes. It just takes 3 weeks. And so the people who are coming to Hot Springs trying to maintain this place, they are local, they are national, they are looking for free medical clinics. So since 1898, there was a federal free clinic in Hot Springs at the government free bathhouse. That predates most of whatever else is happening in the United States until the 1950s in terms of free clinics. We have black-owned bathhouses that are going to set off this black medical intelligentsia that really transforms the United States. And so in Hot Springs, we are answering the question of what is the benefit and who are the people who are supposed to enjoy it. And the answer is, with each generation, everybody. Different communities say, we're here, you got to make this a park for us. Meanwhile, other park things that are just not familiar to park nerds is that everybody wants to get out of the house. We got Coney Island because we got hot dogs. We have, I thought this usually lands better. We have Saratoga Racetrack. Again, French Lick, we got big hotels. By the late 1800s, people are trying to get out of the city and they're trying to have amusements. And here at Hot Springs, we're going to keep you for 3 weeks. So we're going to entertain you for 3 weeks. So Hot Springs gets Oaklawn Racetrack, one of the biggest feeder racetracks to the Kentucky Derby. We get people who golf, one of the oldest golf courses west of the Mississippi here in Hot Springs. We get baseball. And for some strange reason, we also get children on alligators. We want it, we got it. You got to stay here for 3 weeks. You got to get rid of the kids somehow, permanently or not permanently. So Hot Springs becomes America's health and pleasure resort. That's how it's talked about by federal advocates. And so the idea, as the legislation shows, that Uncle Sam bathes the world at Hot Springs National Park. And this is the place set aside by for the American people by the tall guy in the tall hat. Not the flat hat, the tall hat. And so Hot Springs does not look like Jellystone or Yellowstone. It doesn't look like either of those. But it's going to have this row of bathhouses, which has a different charm than hopefully a legal drone photo of Grand Prismatic. So y'all are park visitation nerds, right? Y'all like to go to parks? Anybody have a get? If 1915, on the eve of the National Park Service being founded, do you think Hot Springs is in the lower third, middle third, or upper third most visited? Where are we at? Lower third. I heard a lower. Raise your hand for lower. Raise your hand for middle. Raise your hand for upper. Raise your hand if this is your 23rd convention. Hot Springs is the most visited national park in the United States through the early 1920s. How cool is that? A third of all visitors to the National Park Service are coming to Hot Springs. And none of you have been, does anybody know if they've been to Platt National Park? Yes, you have, but what's it called now? Yes, trick question. Yeah, no, I guess you have been to General Grant if you've been to. Yeah, specifically. All right. So Hot Springs, surprise today, but back in the day would not have been a surprise. Hot Springs is really important, especially for, not for park nerds, but for people who might not believe the Park Service can function. Right? People who are true believers don't need Hot Springs to be their central focus. They're going to focus on Yellowstone. People who want to know that the federal government can operate a resort and that people will go there and they'll have fun, Hot Springs is the model for progressive era park development. And this is what's put out by the Park Service in the 19-teens, that this reservation is the oldest national park, having received that designation in 1832. I'm not saying this. The Secretary of the Interior is saying this. Future versions of this same pamphlet will say Hot Springs, a government reservation since 1832. So Hot Springs is going to get written out of the story of the National Park Service once everything kind of gets going. But has anybody ever heard of Steve Mather? Loved Hot Springs. Loved Hot Springs. He calls it the Great National Spa, a pleasure park as well as a health resort, right? So he's defining the park. And he is speaking of the unique value of Hot Springs. It is the duty of the government to furnish to the poor and fortunates who seek the health-giving waters of the reservation as their last resort. We consider Hot Springs Reservation a park and constantly speak of it as such, which is really wild because a lot of people come to the front desk and they're like, why is this a national park? Right? I didn't choose it. Literally, Stephen Mather is the one who's pushing it. And Stephen Mather himself, does anybody, his story, he suffered from, I'm blanking, what did he suffer from? Bipolar. Bipolar, what it was called at the time? Melancholia. He suffered from melancholia. He would come to Hot Springs. he would quote unquote disappear into the Fordyce during the national park meetings. And he came here because he needed help. He had mental health struggles that he dealt with, and he came to the park to get well. And so when he is speaking about the poor unfortunates who seek the health-giving waters as their last resort, it is not a fiction. It's about him, because he knows that health and the search for health and how to feel better is part of the American story. It is part of all of our stories. And he thought that hot springs had that unique role to play to take care of the people. And the people came, they would sit by the water, they would drink the water. Has anybody drunk the water yet?
Yes.
Fantastic, good job, team. They would sit in fancy clothes. Does anybody bring their silk hats? Furs? All right, next time, just not in July, right? And Hot Springs eventually is going to provide basically 1 million baths a year for about 20 years. You didn't go into this bathhouse that no longer exists, but you could have if you were here 100 years ago for the very first NPTC. So Hot Springs, you would have been really the founding member at that point. So Hot Springs is going to grow from these Victorian era bathhouses. If you've ever been to most spring towns, they kind of rise and fall between 1890 and 1910. So they preserve these really awesome Victorian style buildings. Turns out we were popular for too long because we had those, and then we needed to modernize. So all we have are the highest concentration of like Italian, Mediterranean, Italianate style, and Spanish colonial architecture, probably in the state. No big deal. But the buildings get built up, torn down, built up, torn down for years because people are here. Right? People are coming, including this guy on the left, Frank. We have the Army Navy Hospital, the Levi Memorial Hospital. You don't know these things, but these are also water-based treatments. So again, we bathe the world here in Hot Springs. You could have sat with a towel in front of a statue if you had been here. And then something happens. And I blame a different Steve, this time Steve Rogers, aka Captain America. Because Captain America represents a transformation in American medical care. Right? During World War II, some people get the super serum if they're tough enough and they want to go fight against the Red Skull. But if you didn't get that, you might get penicillin. You can get, by the 50s, you're going to have polio vaccines. You get my favorite, ibuprofen. Why come to Hot Springs for 3 weeks when you can get better in 3 hours? The culture of medicine is going to transform Hot Springs. We used to be very popular, and then post-1947, penicillin's getting popular. All the GIs are going back home to then be part of the USS Enterprise, but specifically Captain, what's that?
Captain Kirk.
Captain Kirk goes back to Iowa. His dad goes back to Iowa. And so Hot Springs goes from a place where you could have gone to the baths to where you see museums of baths. We had 23 bathhouses in operation in Hot Springs. Today we have 3. We went down at one point to 1. Used to, you could do synchronized exercises. What's everybody's favorite synchronized exercise song? The YMCA. What is this a woodcut of? YMCA in England. Today, we have museums. You don't have to do any workouts in Hot Springs National Park anymore. Congratulations. The bath attendants stop working at the baths. They start being rangers telling about what used to happen at the baths, right? So Hot Springs went from a place of the present where we were one of the most visited parks in the country, providing a service to the people, and then we became a place of the past. We used to have people sitting with their feet in the water because they were crazy. But it turns out that people still are crazy. We still return to the water. There's something about the water that still draws us. Bathhouse Row, this beautiful set of landscapes. The people who were designing Bathhouse Row and the landscape right here. They are going to get hired, and they go and help to create Fort Yellowstone. So the same guy who designs, his name is something Stevens, and he goes to Fort Yellowstone. If you've ever been to the north entrance of the Mammoth area, it's all him. So we came from Hot Springs to there. But it used to look like this, and guess what? We are still busy. We've actually returned. Hot Springs National Park gets around 2.5 million visitors a year these days, since in the last 3 years. Very busy. My staff today will probably see, it's a Saturday, we'll probably see about 1,900 to 2,100 people in the building, and there are 4 of them. So they're going to talk to a lot of people, and then they talk to me afterwards, and their heads are spinning, right? Because the people are coming back to Hot Springs, mainly people from Texas, which is fine, which is good, because people from Texas, they need trees, mountains, and less crazy driving. And last year, I already talked about this, we had the total solar eclipse. We had perfect weather. We had people from NASA and NOAA and about 10 other national parks. And we had the busiest days in the history of this park. And it was amazing. I've never seen a park put on a special event that's successful. This was from the USA Today copyright photo. So we have Happy Rangers. So we are still a destination, and the people in Hot Springs have transformed this bathhouse. So Bathhouse Row, if you had been here 25 years ago, if you had been here for your first one, there would have been two open bathhouses on Bathhouse Row. Today there are 7 open bathhouses on Bathhouse Row. And the reason is because the community has come in and they've reinvested in the buildings. We have the Quapaw, which has Roman-style pools. You have to start speaking Latin, but besides that, it's very nice. We have the Hotel Hale, which turns out my great-great-grandpappy helped to found. So he is one of those bathhouse owners who was trying to kick people out. So then I came back. And we have the Superior, which is the only brewery in the world to use thermal water in the brewing process. That is not an advertisement, it's just a statement of fact. And the Buckstaff, which is the oldest concession in the National Park Service dating back to 1912. And so what I always say is that national parks are cultural value statements, and Hot Springs, probably more than any other park in the country, has changed as cultural value statements change. Right? We used to be a place where it was all about specific healthcare, and then today people want to have a brewery. And you know what? We give the people what they want. And so Maggie Lena Walker would have been here in the 1920s. People are still drinking the water. And we are still trying to tell the story of bathing the world here in Hot Springs National Park. So thank you all very much.
Okay, so I want to thank Dr. West for being with us today. We appreciate you taking the time to give us this presentation. We would like to present you with our little campfire mug gift set here. It's a little We're still checking on the dogs here. Can't seem to reach the ranger who was supposed to bring.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
If the water is 143 degrees, why is it not boiling?
Why is it not boiling?
Oh, because that's be too cold.
Yeah, it'd be, well, depending on, yes, normal pressure readings, it would have to be at 212 degrees. So it only gets up to about 150, 155 at depth. So it zooms up from 4,400 to 8,000 feet below us while losing a handful of degrees. Which is pretty cool. Yes?
What is the situation with the Army-Navy building?
That is, so the Army-Navy General Hospital is a huge 20-acre campus. It's right over the southern border here in Hot Springs, and there's a recent legislation that clarified that it's currently up to the state of Arkansas, and they have first right of refusal, because it had been shared between the state of Arkansas and the Department of Defense and to some extent the National Park Service. And currently, there's consternation, but the consternation has been fixed. So it's TBD at the moment, but there's a little bit more clarity on chain of custody. Yes?
I saw in the pictures out here where it said that Hot Springs used to run down Central Avenue and they built the street over it. So is there still water running?
Yes, there's still water. All those hot springs are going to dump out into Hot Springs Creek. If you were from Louisiana in the 1820s, the water was too hot to bathe in directly at the spring source, so you would have bathed in the creek with a bearskin rug. It sounds super cool. And then by the time that Hot Springs, even by the 1870s, there's 10,000 visitors a year, and so the stream becomes what all streams are in a city, which is your closest available system to remove detritus. And so it starts to smell bad and it becomes a health hazard in a place that's supposed to be a health place. And so one of the federal government's first infrastructure projects in what's now a national park was the creation of Hot Springs Creek Arch. Yeah.
I see it has a lot of baseball history.
Yes.
Hot Springs. Could you talk a little about that?
Sure. We are the birthplace of spring training baseball. How cool is that? They needed a place. There's different reasons. We're the first year-round resort in the United States. You can access us via the railroad system. You can watch over your people who are drinking all night and get them back on the campus in the daytime. And we have these gymnasiums, and so you can go get fit. So I have photos of the Big Bambino getting fit in the Fordyce, which is pretty cool. Big Bambino is Babe Ruth, aka George, what's his name? George Herman. And in fact, his longest alleged home run in the history of his career was hit from Whittington Park baseball diamond into the alligator farm, right at that child who was running. Yes, ma'am.
You know, hiking and walking around here, you see these green covers at different places.
Yeah.
Can you tell us what those are?
Those are the springs. So 47 some odd springs. The water being used as a medical resource meant that 33 of those springs are capped, and we collect the water once it hits that spring surface, put it in a pipe. And so when we provide the water in the bathhouses or at the drinking fountains, it has been sort of kept clean, hot, and directed once it hits the surface. Not all the springs are covered, but as you walk around, like those are all the springs that people have
So
seen.
those would have all been open at one point in time?
Yes, but some of them would have trickled out, like you don't want to drink from the water that's trickling out.
Right.
So that's a choice about how to use a water resource.
Okay.
Yes?
Why is Yellowstone considered the first national park today?
Probably a couple of reasons. Number one, it has the name, right? So we're Hot Springs Reservation in 1832. We're not Hot Springs National Park, just like Yosemite is Yosemite State Park or Reservation. It's not Yosemite National Park, even though those were protected spaces prior to Yellowstone. And then again, by I think it's like 1922, 1923, some of the first histories of the Park Service are designed. They're written by like real park enthusiasts who never really saw Hot Springs as a national park, and so it just gets written out. And it's just a better. It's much. There's many more parks on a large scale that are represented by the Yellowstone model. A few are represented by Hot Springs. Yellowstone was itself going to be a health resort to some extent. There were bathhouses at the north end. Chickasaw National Recreation, aka Platte, was modeled off of Hot Springs. Thermopolis in Wyoming, modeled off of Hot Springs. Saratoga Springs in New York, modeled off of Hot Springs. And Banff Hot Springs Reservation, today called Banff National Park, was first modeled off of Hot Springs. And so there's just a cultural change.
When did this become a national park?
1921. I think we were the 18th or 19th park named as such. But the first, in the legislation for the National Park Service, at the Organic Act, which national park is named first? We're named first in the Organic Act legislation, which is pretty wild. So it says National Parks and Hot Springs Reservation in Arkansas. So we've always, as Stephen Mather said, we've always been part of the national parks. It was basically renamed as a national park just for consistency purposes.
Any more questions?
Oh, yes.
So Yellowstone has geysers, of course, which are pretty hot, and there have been more recent modern discoveries that were made involving those geysers, bacteria that live in there. And that bacteria was used to get CRISPR method for the editing of RNA. Has anything similar been done in the history of this park? I'm just curious as to what kind of scientific value you guys have brought.
So Hot Spring, or Yellowstone is fascinating for many reasons. You could even have debates over access to green energy, but we usually eschew those debates at Yellowstone because that could impact the whole geyser system. Yellowstone has a volcano under it, and actually like a second one is pretty wild, and just like super hot stuff. And so in 1960, Thomas Brock identifies Thermus aquaticus that is now used in PCR testing. If any of you have ever had anything tested medically, you could probably thank Thomas Brock and the medical discoveries via Yellowstone National Park. It's pretty cool. So those are thermophiles. Thermophiles are things that live in the heat. We have heat here in Hot Springs. So Lewis and Clark go out west to the Pacific Northwest. Some of you have probably been on the Lewis and Clark Trail. There were 4 groups sent out into the Louisiana Purchase. One of them is the Hunter and Dunbar expedition. They come to Hot Springs. They're actually the first scientific expedition to report back to Thomas Jefferson from the Louisiana Purchase. And there's a note in the journal. He says, I wish he said TJ, but he says, Mr. President, enclosed in my report is a leaf. And I have collected on that leaf a little bit of this green moss. And so somewhere, in some random journal or archive at some state university, wherever these papers are, is a random leaf tucked into some papers, and an archivist who is scratching their head why on earth a leaf has been allowed to be put in those stacked papers. That leaf is the oldest form of thermophilic research that I've ever seen in the United States. And the quotes are, we don't think anything can survive at this temperature, but the wonders of nature tell us that we need to learn more. So Hot Springs is the birthplace of thermophilic research in the United States. In the 1890s, a guy named William Trelease is going to come to Hale Bathhouse. He is going to identify a thermophile that had never been found anywhere else on Earth. Subsequently, it has been found at Yellowstone. There continues to be research on the thermophiles. About 30% of the thermophiles in Hot Springs are not known to science. So we are like a thermophilic Galapagos because we are so far away from all the other thermal springs. So I say like drinking the water is like drinking yogurt. It's just like a probiotic. And in the 1980s, a meteorite was found in Australia, Antarctica. It was thought to potentially be a meteorite from Mars with tiny Martian life forms, and they were looking for the place in the place on Earth that could replicate the same conditions as Mars to find out about the earliest forms of life in the solar system. Where did those NASA nerds go? They came to Hot Springs because we have non-volcanic origin water, much of it that is covered over, so we have thermophiles that have to grow in the darkness, which is unusual for most springs. And so we are isolated, and we also have a different surface level condition for our thermophiles that make us one of the only places on Earth to have our specific conditions. So yes, science happening. That was really fun. Because of that same Thomas Brock story is why I tried to figure out our thermal research.
Thank you.
Yes.
Who was the last president that Hot Springs is hosting?
The last president. Do you know it and I don't? My guess is it's Bill Clinton, because he was there at the opening of the Fordyce bathhouse, and there are photos of him climbing the ropes in the historic gymnasium because he was the governor, and I guess the governor gets to do that. But FDR, LBJ, the guy from Missouri who came out, Truman, Teddy was here, but just to hang out with Uncle Sam at the racetrack one time when he was trying to go for a re-election. When FDR came here, he did not come here for treatment. He went to Warm Springs, Georgia, which is also a national park site, related there. And but he goes up to the 3rd floor of the Fordyce, and he meets with 6 children who are receiving polio treatments here in Hot Springs. So he went up those same doors that you probably went through. He definitely went up the elevator, and he would have come out of that same elevator and looked at people who were trying to find hope in Hot Springs. Thank you, Vaughn.
Okay, we're still uncertain about whether the dogs are going to be coming or not. Because of that, we have a few minutes before the break is going to be ready. How many people were at last night's trivia event? You guys had a good time? Yes. A little stressful? Yes. Sharon and I couldn't grade fast enough for you guys. But we have the results. But before I read the results, Sharon and I are laughing our whole time about some of these names. So I'm going to read some of the names that people came up with for their teams. Jurassic Parks, some preconceived notion of the winner's circle, Parkosaurus, green ducks. Apparently they had a green duck in their bathtub on the table.
That's correct. That's how we got this.
Good at trivia. Allen's Avengers, Riff Raff, Park Tubbies, Corner Table. We had both Madison's Marauders and Mandy's Marauders, so that didn't get confusing. Don't Bet the Bison, Magic, Comfortably Dumb, Not Bus A. Assume you were Bus B, I guess. The Rule Breakers, Dropping the Gloves, Hope Fools, FOOLS, and Spring into Action. So thank you for the entertainment of the original names there. What we're going to do, Sharon, do you want to come up for Sharon? So the 3rd place team is going to get nice certificates here. Sharon made these. They're beautiful. So coming in at 3rd place is Team Park Tubbies. Sorry, we got people here from Team Park Tubbies. Where's the leader of Park Tubbies here? Come up here now. Come up here and get your certificate. If you're on Team Park Tubbies, we have a certificate for everybody who was on the team. So come up to the front.
What was their score?
They came in at 185 points. I'm going to get a picture here. Where's our photographer? Get a picture of our team. Magic. For Team Magic, we got some nice second place certificates, and we also have a gift basket. We have a nice little spa gift basket here for them to share amongst their team. Some teams were less than 8 people, so that's why we don't have to give out all the certificates. We allowed up to 8 people per team, so Sharon made 8 certificates. That's fun. Okay, for our winners, in first place with 199 points, corner table. They're going to get a nice big spa basket to share amongst themselves. There you go, Cream. Cream's going to take all that home. These guys, they're not going to get anything. That's kind of, there really is no way to 100% factor that, I guess. I mean, I would have to go through and see, like, potential, because there was even one question where you were getting 1 bonus point if you named several parts, so it's kind of hard to quantify the entire amount. There were some questions where we were giving partial credit, like there were several people. We had one question that was about the faces on Mount Rushmore, you know, the name and name which president. Apparently a lot of people didn't know that Teddy Roosevelt was the 26th president, so we had all kinds of numbers with that. They got Teddy Roosevelt, but they didn't get the right year or the right order, so we gave partial credit in some cases too.
What was the lowest score?
Okay, I'm not going to say the name because I'm not going to go there. But, well, we had one team that kind of bowed out. They gave up. But the lowest one on the sheet here is 87 points. Woo! There was one question, and I don't know, I mean, I have to admit, you know, I looked at all this stuff on the internet. I'm not really a big trivia buff. I don't know everything. I probably didn't research a lot of these down to the minutia detail. But there was one question on a dog named Seaman Jr. So a lot of people had written down that it was a service dog, that it was a dog that Lewis and Clark had, that it was all this stuff. What I researched was that there were a set of plush dogs that were created for the 50th anniversary of the Lewis and Clark expedition. And one of those dogs, named Seaman Jr., traveled with the astronauts to the International Space Station. They took the stuffed animal there. So that was what I was referring to in that question. Whether or not all the other answers were right, it seemed like a lot of people were putting down the same thing, so I'm thinking that there could be further research on that, and maybe Lewis and Clark did have a dog named Seaman Jr. I don't know, but that's what we were getting at. Okay, so we are going to have break now, and we're going to have, because of how many people, we're going to have about 30 minutes for break, and that's kind of why I was killing a little time there, because they weren't supposed to set it out till 2:30. So we're going to take about a half hour for break. We're going to come back at about like 3, maybe 3:05 or so. Please, please, please be respectful in taking your break. We want everybody to get something. We don't order tons of food for this, okay? So please just, take one serving, and let everybody get through the line, and then if there's more, you're welcome to have more, but we just want to make sure everybody gets something. And we'll be back here at about 3:05.
So I guess it wasn't a chip. You're pretty down chip, right? You're one of those 40 plus years. But I made sure that I was
Hi, Debbie.
I don't know if we're still speaking.
Are you running the member slideshow?
She's going to.
Okay. Yeah.
If anyone wants to retrieve their trivia sheets from last night, we have them all on the stage here. You're welcome to come and get your groups and see what you got right, what you got wrong, if you're interested.
Not that I answered those questions. I'm curious.
I don't know. I just told him okay.
Hey, come out of here. Come on.
We're waving to friends.
We're waving to Diane.
Oh. Maybe they'll respond. We'll get back to you.
Hey Deb, if you can see. Hi Deb. guys do?
5
Tell me where I come on, man. We give him away.
Well, I can't tell.
I think this is. Let's go up here. Hard to tell when it's live. Come on in here. Come on in here. It's a 20-second delay, so you've got time. It hasn't aired yet.
If anyone took one of the little bathtubs from the table last night, or one of the centerpieces, I have some
Haven't seen us yet.
like little bubble bags. If you want to put them in to travel, I got some more bubble bags here if anybody wants to have one.
Here comes you. There's you.
Okay, we're all there.
Okay. Good?
Okay.
Yeah? All right. We'll take a screenshot every time.
Somebody leave their drink up on stage here. No. Anybody left the drink up on stage here? Greg had suggested maybe I try to put the answers to the trivia online after the convention is over, so I'll try to do that.
Okay, thank you.
If anybody didn't get their sheets, we still have those here. Does someone back there mind closing the doors? Okay, welcome back. I'd like to again remind everyone to silence your cell phones. I apologize. I'm thinking that we're not going to get the dog demonstration today, unfortunately. I don't know what happened with that. Apparently, it kind of fell apart. But so we're going to move on with the rest of the meeting here. I broke this up a little bit since I wanted to make sure we got to do the other awards with the Hot Springs Ranger. But I want to circle back and present our annual club award, which recognizes park ranger, volunteer who provides excellence on our visits, and an NPTC member who makes extra effort to support other members, Park Service and NPTC. Our Flat Hat Award recognizes any National Park Service employee or volunteer that made a member's visit to the unit more memorable. All NPS employees, full-time or seasonal, as well as official NPS volunteers are eligible for this award as nominated by NPTC members. If there are several individuals from a single site who merit recognition, they can be nominated as a group. Since 2014, Flat Hat Award winners have come from parks across the country, including Charles Young Buffalo Soldiers, Natchez National Historical Park, George Rogers Clark National Historical Park, Hopewell Culture National Historical Park, and Dayton Aviation Heritage National Historical Park, Tule Lake National Monument, Lava Beds National Monument, Thomas Stone National Historic Site, our site for next year, Alabates Flint Quarries National Monument, Frederick Douglass National Historic Site, Wolftrap National Park for the Performing Arts, and last year's winner from Fort Stanwix National Monument. This year we had another great year for the Flat Hat Award with 4 exceptional candidates. The winner of this year's Flat Hat Award is Michaela Howard from Ocmulgee Mounds National Monument. So I want to send a congratulation out to Ranger Howard. Now her nomination focused on her deep knowledge of Ocmulgee Mounds that she gained during her 3 years working at the monument, and no doubt while growing up nearby and visiting the monument frequently. She delivered that extensive knowledge with such infectious enthusiasm that the unit was much more appreciated by our club members. We'll look forward to presenting that award at a meetup event maybe sometime this fall. I encourage all members to take note of exceptional park experiences in the coming year and nominate a deserving ranger, volunteer, or group for next year's award. The deadline is June 1st each year. Our other annual award is the Dennis Stanley Spirit of the National Park Traveler Award. This award recognizes an NPTC member that has made an effort to support other NPTC members and their pursuits, the national parks or the NPTC in an unofficial capacity. Unfortunately, we did not have a winner for this year's award, but we encourage members to nominate a deserving fellow member in the future. Deadline is June 1st of each year. You can submit your nomination at any time throughout the year. I also would like to ask that we acknowledge the 7 previous recipients of the award: Carl Barton, Alex Wilson, Dave Cruz, Scott Stieglitz, Margaret Milligan, Sharon Abishan, Mike Browning, and last year's winner, Robbie Klistitz. look out for individuals deserving next year's awards as well, as we do like to give these out every year. Thank you also to the awards committee, Carl Roy, Stephen Inga, Tom Ludwig, and Amanda Rahm for accepting and thoughtfully reviewing the applications this year. Jennifer Baxter retired from the committee this year after participating since the beginning, so I want to extend a special thank you to Jennifer for her many years of service to the committee. And I also want to welcome our newest member of the committee, Amanda Rahm. Thank you, Amanda, for volunteering. Unfortunately, our speaker from the Clinton Foundation, Ann Camps, injured herself and was not able to come to be our second speaker today. But we do have someone here who is part of the Gangster Museum, and he's going to give a little bit of a talk on hot springs. What was the title?
From Capone to Costello.
From Capone to Costello. So we get a little different perspective on hot springs. If you want to come up, his name is Richard Raines.
Thank you, Yvonne.
There you go.
Thank you, dear. Good afternoon. As Yvonne was pointing out, I built the Gangster Museum in 2008. About 18, almost 8, we're going on 18 years now. And I did that by virtue of another project I was on here. And I kept hearing these stories. You know, we get through at night, working downtown, we go in the Arlington. And there wasn't much going on here at that period of time. There were 30 buildings boarded up in the historic district. One bathhouse was open part-time. But I kept getting these stories about, you know, Capone coming here and Costello coming here and, you know, just on and on from, you know, a lot of old timers, which I now consider myself. But 18 years ago, they were telling me stories about how they would, you know, hang around in the Arlington lobby and smoke cigars. And I said, well, you know, what did the cops think about this? He said, oh, they were fine with it. They were sitting there with it. And I said, well, what about the mayor? He said, the mayor. The governors were here. The presidents were here. Everyone was here, taking baths, having a good time. And that's what this place was all about. So I said, oh, I had some friends at A&E back in the old days where they were doing biographies, and I really had to research this and find out about it, and lo and behold, I bet 99.9% of the stories I heard were not only true, they were just touching the truth. They were just glancing over the truth. And I guess people would talk about Capone having been here, but it was a much bigger story because Johnny Torrio from New York, who moved to Chicago, started what would become the Outfit. Capone was his protege. Capone was from New York, as all the Capones were, and they would. He went to Chicago to work for Johnny Torrio as a kid, and they would come to Hot Springs, Johnny and his wife, to take the baths, go to the national park, go to the racetrack, watch Major League Baseball spring training, all the things that everybody else did. And they thought, this is a great place here. And indeed it is, even to this day. So that kind of started it, even though, you know, Frank and Jesse James, I've spoken at the James/Younger family reunion that's held here because they came here. Pat Masterson was here a lot. Wyatt Earp was here. The owner of the guy who built the Long Branch Saloon in Dodge City, Kansas. They never got much press on him. Charles Bassett. Miss Kitty never talked about Charles in Gunsmoke. But nevertheless, he finally made it to Hollywood. He's buried in Hollywood Cemetery over off Hollywood Boulevard here. He came here to ate his rheumatism and never left, and died here as an elderly fellow and is buried here in Hot Springs. So even from the Wild West days, back to the James brothers, after Jesse left the picture and Frank served his time in prison, Frank started a shooting arcade at the end of Hollow Street in Fountain Street, in Happy Hollow, which is just up towards the Mountain Tower from the Arlington Hotel. And oddly enough, probably one of the worst crimes committed here was Frank James' partner ran off with his money and stole all his money. He had to go out of business. But of all things, a bank robber got his money stolen from him. But nevertheless, Hot Springs has been throughout history a place that people could come and relax. All nationalities, all races. The only thing really here you needed a little bit of to have a good time was a little bit of money. And it didn't take much. In 1914, a group of 300 people came to the Hot Springs Opera House to have a meeting. They were from different denominations. They thought, you know, they're hearing voices, and you know, sometimes they're waking up and they're talking out of their, like they're talking in their sleep. They're not making any sense. They decided to have a meeting here once they all kind of got in communications with each other. And 4 days later, they had formed the Assemblies of God. And now there's 90 million members of the Assemblies of God. And they also have their annual meetings here because this is where they started. And it was $1 to stay here. No, $1 to get here from anywhere and $0.25 to stay a night. So the price fit their budget, you know. Nevertheless, the mob, when they came here, and a lot of them did, I'm working on a documentary right now about our own personal gangster who moved here in 1931 and never left, Owen Vincent Madden, who pretty much owned New York and was a mentor to Lucky Luciano and Frank Costello and all of these guys. He's a little bit older. Never really got the recognition that a lot of these other guys didn't, because that's the way he liked it. He stayed pretty quiet. But Madden and Costello, that's her laptop. Madden and Costello and a lot of the New York. I thought that's my cue. I got to start dancing or play the piano. I cued the bear. I don't know what I did. Most of these guys were coming here to have a good time. Costello did own the Jack Tar Hotel, which is now a senior living facility over on Park Avenue. And, you know, Madden had investments in some of the clubs around town. But pretty much it was all pretty peaceful here. In the Gangster Museum, I have a little saying that is in one of our presentations. During the time that all of the bank robbers were here, during Prohibition, which didn't really faze Hot Springs because they made their own whiskey here. During that period of time, there were no bank robberies here because all of the bank robbers were on vacation. Why mess up a fun time by working? The New York connection and the Miami and Kansas City, I mean, we had brothers from the Kansas City mob that worked in the clubs down here. And to give you an idea of, I guess the key essential here was the bats and gambling. And during Prohibition, of course, you know, we didn't really recognize it because we cooked up our own whiskey here, known as moonshine. I don't know really how to say this. We had a lot of different things that people enjoyed here. Gambling and prostitution were the leading forms of enjoyment. Drinking, gambling, and prostitution. You can't go wrong with it. Get one of those things for Christmas, you're going to be in it. the gambling here it was always against the law. It's never really been legalized. Just a few years ago, we legalized the lottery, and then just recently we legalized Oklahoma. Oklahoma was going to happen. The horse racing was going to happen whether they liked it or not. So they might as well legalize it. But there's no other gambling anywhere in the state that's not associated with the Racing Commission. But the gambling here, well, for instance, it survived here because the governors allowed it to. And back in those days, states kind of they were autonomous. The feds only controlled the east side of Central Avenue. That was what they considered the national park. And that was federal property. Everything else was considered open game. And so just recently, in the documentary, we discovered a letter from to Owen Madden from Governor Francis Cherry, who was in the 50s, was our governor, thanking him for the Cadillac. He should get years of use out of it. It's on the state stationery from the governor's office. So that kind of stuff went on way back, way before any of it that comes out now. But I guess the most fascinating thing to me was that all of these people came here, and everybody in America, every newspaper in America, the New York Times, everybody talked about it, but nothing really ever happened. And they talked about it being against the law in Arkansas, but nothing ever happened because everybody in it, from the governor down, was in on it. This was the focal point of all of our tourism. We have a lot of hunting and a lot of fishing, but this is what drove Arkansas. At one time, we had 5 senators and representatives running the 5 most powerful committees in Washington. So, all at the same time, we had 1.5 million population. When I spoke at the Mob Museum, I was a little reticent to tell them this fact. In 1931, Las Vegas was just starting to happen. There were 5,000 people there. According to the census, they were all building the Boulder Dam, which became the Hoover Dam, to get water in between Rancho Deluxe and Cedar Gulch. They did have some card games, but nothing to the Vegas that we know now. 5,000 people there all working to build the dam. In 1931, Hot Springs had 20,500 people, according to the USS Census, 22 high-rise hotels, open gambling, and $50 million in prostitution. So when I said that out there, I thought, oh, I'm probably going to get murdered here. And a former senator came up to me and was there after my speaking engagement and said, you know, you shouldn't be worried about that. We've always called Hot Springs the mother of Las Vegas. So that's pretty much what I present in the Gangster Museum. The gangsters came here to have a good time. And the bank robbers came here to, 3 bank robbers got married here. One of the Barker boys, I think it's Arthur Barker, got married here. Frank Nash, the guy who single-handedly started the FBI by virtue of his, more or less, his assassination when he tried to escape in Kansas City, known as the Union Station Kansas City Massacre. They just came here to have a good time, pretty much like everybody. 1 million people, no, I guess last year 3 million people a year come to do. And you could always tell an Italian mobster on Central Avenue because they were usually the best dressed. And we had a lot of really nice clothing stores here. We had a lot of nice hat stores here, like the Hattery Hotel back in the turn of the 1900s, which is the name of our hat store in the Gangster Museum of America. We got an old saying there: you can't find a hat in here, you need your head examined. And the Hattery also was notorious for having Grace Goldstein, who was the last public enemy, #1. His common law wife ran the Hattery. Grace Goldstein. And I remember we have a reporter here, the father of his newspaper, the Democrat, ran a story where they were trying to get Grace's maid, the Hattery maid, to testify on her. And the U.S. prosecutor said, Mrs. Froney, where do you work? She said, I work at the Hattery in Hot Springs. He said, well, what do you do? What do you do there? He said, well, I'm a maid. I clean up. She said, well, what is the Hattery? She said, well, it's a hat store and other things. He said, what kind of other things? Well, it's a place people come to meet. He says, well, is it a house of ill repute? And according to the newspaper, she said, no, sir. He said, well, what exactly would you call it? She said, I'd call it a hoe house. I guess it's all according to how you look at this. But if you get a chance, go to the museum, tell them that you're with the National Park Travelers Club. They'll let you in as if you were all one big, we have a group rate, so it's like $15 or something. And it takes about an hour to go through. We're open tomorrow. And it is really fascinating history. And of course, none of it would really probably have taken place if the National Park wasn't sitting here. And the National Park today is still the draw in Hot Springs. Even while the racing meet is going on, even though we have a huge, beautiful casino out there, the National Park, because we see them, we're right across from the Buckstaff bathhouse. And I tell you, people line up. I've had people, spouses and family from people here to take baths, and they'll come in and they'll hang out in the gift shop and talk to us. They're generally from Texas or Louisiana or some neighboring state, and they say their father, their mother, their uncle, whatever, come over here every quarter, and since they've been doing it, since they've been taking the baths, they have thrown away their arthritis medicine. And I thought, well, that's pretty good. And there are a lot of 90-year-olds here, 90 plus people who are still driving around. They're still pretty lucid. And I remember a couple coming in to the Gangster Museum, and she said, she obviously looked a little older than I am. I'm 73. So I said, tell me, if you don't mind telling me how old you are. She said, I'm 92 years old. I said, really? I said, well, you don't look it. She said, well, thank you. I said, what do you add your longevity? She said, well, I live healthy. I take the baths. I was raised on Mountain Valley water. And I said, do you exercise? She said, well, I drink a lot of whiskey. So I don't know if that's in the doctor's prescription, but anyway, it should be. But nevertheless, you guys come. Thank you very much. I wish I brought video, but I just knew about this yesterday. Thank you, Mom.
Thank you very much. We want to give you a little something here. A little gift basket there for you. Thank you very much. Our ranger from Hot Springs, God bless him, he's out there still trying to see if we can get the dogs today. Apparently the ranger, the canine ranger who was supposed to come, is on vacation now. He forgot. Oh well, it happens. We really appreciate the effort though. Thank you. Okay. All right, we're going to move on now to our volunteer recognition. Before we get into the business meeting, I want to acknowledge the efforts of all of our volunteers. Everybody knows our clubs run on the back of volunteer effort, including your 7-member executive board. So I'm gonna read off various roles, and if you could please stand and be recognized. If you are or have ever been a forum moderator, if you are or have ever been on the awards committee, if you are or have ever been on the elections committee, if you are or have ever been an editor for the master database, if you have served as a master traveler or park traveler award reviewer, you guys do a lot. You're doing a lot of stamps. If you are or have ever been a regular wiki contributor, come on, where's the baby girls? I know you guys do a lot of wiki. If you have ever hosted a member meetup, if you have been a convention host or volunteer, thanks so much to all of you for everything you've done over the past several years to make these conventions great for everyone. And special thanks to all those that assisted this year. I'm sure I've missed some people. There are those that could not be here in person with us, but I would like to give a huge thank you on behalf of the NPTC to any and every person who volunteers to make our club a fun and valuable resource for our members. Thank you. I would also like to acknowledge those who support the National Park Service through volunteer work. I'm sure we have a few of those here today. Please stand and be recognized if you volunteer with the Park Service. Okay, now we turn to official business of the club. I'd like to start by reviewing the minutes of the 22nd Annual Convention meeting in Portland, Oregon last year. The minutes have been posted online and are also in the convention edition of the stamp pad. That was emailed to everyone this morning. Some of you picked up paper copies. We opted to not print as many this year. We're trying to save on the cost of that since many people don't want to pick up a paper copy. We've been doing it electronically lately. Are there any corrections or changes to the minutes that anybody knows of from last year's meeting? Okay. Hearing none, I'd like to call for a motion to approve the minutes.
Motion to approve. Christy Bale.
Second?
Second, Robbie.
Okay. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Motion to approve is passed unanimously. The President's report and Membership Director's report have been placed in the convention edition of the stamp pad as well, so I encourage you to review those. I would now like to ask David Vickers, who is the election chair, to come up front. And David, could you please provide the outcome of this year's election?
Suspense is driving us crazy, right? So just a few comments before I actually give the winners' names. This year's 2025 Elections Committee was comprised of Pam Ludwig, Pat Hurl, and myself. We met in March and we set the election date as July 17th. We published the election schedule on May 2nd, sent notices. Nominations opened on May 31st and closed on June 15th. There were 3 self-nominations, 1 for each officer up for election, and there were no bylaw amendment proposals. The election opened on June 24th. We sent a few reminders out, and those closed on July 17th. The committee met here July 24th to tally the results. And drum roll please. There were a total of 316 certified ballots received. For President, Yvonne Mansky received 298 votes. Vice President Robert Palmer received 303 votes. And Member at Large Sharon Avashan received 309 votes. All were unopposed. All 3 candidates garnered the more than the 25% requisite requirement for ballots, and accordingly each has been declared and certified as winners. So I want to congratulate and thank you for your continued service, those 3 board members, and thanks to the Elections Committee for your assistance.
Okay, big thanks to you, Dave, and other members of your committee, Pat Hurl and Pam Ludwood, for providing this important service for the club this year. The new board will take effect 3 weeks from today on August 16th, but there are really no changes in the position. Due to the new bylaws or the new monthly meeting schedule, our next board meeting conference call will be in September, so be sure to look on the forums if you want to attend that. Connie, were you wanting to give a report out on the meetups this year? Where's Connie? No? You're good? Okay. Okay, did we get any questions in there? We're going to do the member Q&A now. Let's see what we got in this basket here. Got a few. Yeah.
I just want to take a minute to acknowledge everything that Yvonne does for this club. No idea the hours, the days, the months that she spends thinking about this club, making a wonderful convention, although it takes a lot of volunteers. She is the person that makes it happen. So I just want to thank her, let you guys all know that we all need to thank her because she's a wonderful president.
So, looking at these, it looks more comment than question, but I'll read what's on here anyway. First one says, we would like to see a convention stamp with the convention logo on it, like the logo on the t-shirts or at the top of the Matters to Database page or name tag. So, typically in the past we have created 2 different logos. One has been the ones we put on the t-shirt, and one, that's our convention logo, and the other one is for the iconic stamper. That's the one that we give to the park. So those are actually 2 different things. Not to say that we couldn't try to make a stamp of the logo if people would like to have that, but those 2 things are 2 separate, and that's been tradition that we've created those where they're 2 separate things. In the past, they've sometimes taken the logo and used it to create the iconic stamper to where they're kind of the same thing but not quite. But also when you're trying to create a stamp and you're trying to make it a dated stamp like we've done in the past, there's only certain parameters you can work in on that too. So I think we've made it a stationary date sometimes, and so that makes a difference as well. But we can take that under advisement for next time. The other one says, map of U.S. that attends, map of U.S. that attends attendee could put pin in area they are from. Isn't that what I thought we had a thing like that on the, where's our IT guys? Don't we have that on the website already? Yeah. Where you can put...
Who's here today? I think
Oh!
Some years we've tracked that in the registration and announced we had, third day.
Oh, okay, I see. Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, I leave that to the people who know more about that than I do. I don't really deal with the mapping and database stuff as much. But,
I think what he's saying is having a map of the United States, everyone puts a pin where they're from.
Here. Oh, while you're here. Oh, well, I'm sure Sharon would love to create something like that. I asked Sharon, see, you guys, Sharon did a lot of work this year. A lot of work. All the signage and the stuff that you see all over the place. Sharon made all that stuff. And I told her she makes these beautiful cards for people. And I told her, I said, you sell this stuff on Etsy, right? And she's like, no, this is what I do so I don't have to clean my house. So I'm sure she would love a project like that. So the one question that I got, it says, how has Hot Springs National Park been affected by the current reductions in man or woman power, etc.? Please answer. I cannot answer that question. And I'm pretty sure the Rangers cannot answer that question. Because there's something called the Hatch Act, where they're not allowed to publicly discuss this kind of stuff. So I don't believe that there's anybody in this room that can really answer that question for you, unfortunately. So, I'm not sure how to respond to that, but that's basically the gist of it. Does anybody else have any questions that they want to raise?
I have wondered, how come we don't have an app yet? There's an app for everything else.
The question was, why don't we have an app? And there has been some discussion of that in the past. And we did work with another company on their, helping them put park stamp locations and stuff on their app. But I don't know how much, the people who handle a lot of the IT stuff are interested in developing their own app. There's a lot of work involved in that. And it's already enough to keep up with what we got. So, I don't know if there are any plans to develop that.
I can tell you as a caveat to that, if you do an Apple map, you have to update your app every time they update the software. So it wouldn't be a one-time thing, it would be a continuous research.
They would have to maintain it for sure, and that is a lot of work. Over here.
What's the future of the NPTC across America weekend? I know there have been rumors about not doing this anymore. I'm just curious as to what you and the rest of the board are planning to come up with.
Okay, so the question was, what is the future of doing the NPTC across America? Because I guess the attendance, we haven't had as many groups forming meetups and stuff. I don't know. I would let Connie answer that because she's the one who came up with this idea and started the whole thing. So she's going to apparently have to get up here and talk about
it. Just saying who's off the trivia team next year. So it's been 4 years. The reason I wasn't going to do a discussion of the numbers is because they've drastically reduced this year, and we've done everything possible, I think, to make this a wide-ranging, member-driven event, and it's not there. We only had, I believe, 3 official meetups of the 5 that actually happened out of 9 regions, and that's like less than half from last year or so, and it has just gone down and down and down. It has been a struggle when I post about getting people to host them and then getting people to sign up and join us for those weekends. So I'm just thinking that you've kind of spoken with your feet and said that it's a good idea, but we're not really into it. So I was not going to propose to do another one for next year. So, Nancy.
Is it because of the timing that you do it during the middle of summer holidays where people are really doing other things and family stuff and family vacations?
It's not really in the middle of summer holidays. The plan has been for it, well, last year I think we decided the plan was going to be to keep it on a Saturday between Memorial Day and Father's Day. So that keeps it away from the convention proper, because the convention has been roughly July 13th through beginning of August. So we did, I think the very first one, we did that late August because it was so early in July, we were able to do it in August. But lately, that hasn't been like a good time. And then when you start going anywhere above that week in June, people are still in school, people have Easter holiday, high Jewish holidays, all of those kinds of things. Then it's winter and people don't want to travel in the winter, and then it's fall and people are back in school, and then it's the Christmas holidays and the other high holidays. So there is no good time, and I think you probably understand that from the point of view of the discussions we've had about when do we have the national meeting, because we've discussed, why are we always doing this in the summer? Everyone wants to do other things in the summer, why don't we do this in the fall? So,
but this is a multi-day event.
It is now. It hadn't been, but it is now.
The meetup is a single-day event. So the hypothesis that I would have would be that, okay, early in the year, you're right, there's a lot of conflict with national holidays and things. But perhaps later in the year and more the fall, because even when people are back to school, they can give up a Saturday.
If you would like to propose the date and plan it for next year, I will gladly turn it over to you with any details you want me to provide to you. But, yeah. And I know there was someone else, I think, on the forums who had kind of expressed that, so yeah. Shh, I can barely hear him.
I want to appreciate you for trying. This was fantastic, and we have. I wish this could continue because I have met many people trying to organize these things who are not known and also thank you everybody for really just being here. And I think it's perfectly, in my opinion, just to have events. And this was a great way of kind of pushing the date and charging for a specific event. So I hope that it uses some form or another, not necessarily a single day, but maybe, I don't know, have like a across American month or something like that, but something that kind of gets us out there into the chat.
Well, you're right. This does not preclude you having a meetup, and if you guys want to, there's been some awesome meetups that I've seen planned over the last few years, and some of them are just, like, is Teresa here?
No,
Teresa from New York?
No.
So Teresa was like, I want to go to New York, I want to see Ellis Island, and I want some friends. Can I do a meetup? Like, yeah, do it. And we had like, I don't know, 10, 12 people, we did the hard hat tour. Absolutely nothing else to do that day, we just picked a day in May and we ended up doing it. So there is nothing precluding you from doing a meetup and doing it whenever you want. Do it in the fall, do it in the spring, do it between Christmas and New Year. I know Robbie sometimes goes home to Boston, and we did some really cool meetups in Massachusetts in December. So, I mean, yeah, the weather isn't necessarily always out of the question. Ma'am?
I hosted a meetup at Thomas Edison in New Jersey in 2023, and I was fairly new to getting involved, and you were such a big support for me to host that. And I think I had 14 or 15, maybe 16 people came, and some people flew in, they drove in just for that meetup. And I guess I would turn it around that maybe and I loved it. I had such a wonderful time and met such wonderful people. Maybe look at the glass half full and say, yeah, you really had hoped to get most of the regions represented, and we didn't this year. But we had 3 successful meetups that might not have otherwise happened, and it gives people an opportunity that enjoy the meetups and may not think of like that at Ellis Island get together, to have a date and a reason to do it. And so I would just ask that maybe we consider not doing away with it, because I think it is a good thing.
Okay, Connie's done. I'll say this. This is why Connie wanted to pass the baton. She didn't want to do this job anymore. But I've said this so many times, that we hear so often, let's do this, let's do that, let's go here, let's go there, all this. You have to put your efforts where your mouth is. Okay, if you guys want to see us doing these things, then you can't just say to the people who are running stuff, you know, we want to do this, make it happen. This is a volunteer job. I have a real job at home. I have friends, I have family, I have to be your travel agents. We're here because we love this club, we love the parks, and we love doing this kind of thing. And so there's only so much that we can do alone. So it's really these kind of things like this that kind of came up with this idea. It ran great for a few years, and then, you know, it's kind of petered out a little bit this year. But if you want to really see it stay strong and do these things, then you have to be willing to step up. And, you know, we're not asking you to fly off to you know, Arizona and host a meetup away from home. This is, you know, you can get one in your local area, and there are probably a lot of park members in your area that, you know, may be interested in doing something like that. So it's just one of those things where, you know, we know that there are going to be people who either love it or don't, but we really can't just all of a sudden make everything happen. So, you know, that's kind of always my answer to that question. Anybody else have any other questions?
Yeah, I have a question. So, according to some news reports, the federal government is possibly, and I'm saying possibly, going to transfer approximately 35 national park units to state governments. Mm-hmm. So, my question is, from a club standpoint, is how are you guys going to handle that for award level purposes? Like, are you going to give people that visit a park that is now a state park credit for achieving a particular number of units, or how are you going to handle that if that does come to fruition? I
got to say, my answer to that, Fred, is that I think probably that you're putting the cart before the horse, because unless that actually happens, I don't feel like we need to have that discussion so much.
Well, that's why I said if.
Yeah. I mean, you know, I don't know any more than you do whether or not that might happen or not, but I feel like it's something that, you know, we can sit here and talk about it and say, okay, well, what will we do?
Yeah, I wasn't commenting on the concept.
Oh, no, I'm just saying that.
I'm just wondering what the club would do for people that are trying to 200, 300, 400 levels.
Right, but you haven't let me get to my point yet. Yeah. My point is that we could do that. We could sit and discuss that, but I feel like there are a lot of other things that we could be discussing that are in real time now that we need to discuss, rather than worrying about what something may or may not happen and spending time discussing. Because like I just said, we're all volunteers. There's a lot of stuff to do in this club, even besides this convention. I mean, we went through a whole thing with the whole, you know, rewriting all the TOU stuff and all this political forum stuff and all. I mean, that took a lot of time, a lot of effort, and hurting a lot of cats. I mean, getting all the stuff with the IT fixed and all this other kind of stuff. And behind the scenes, you're not seeing that, but we're spending a lot of effort doing those kind of things, and we only have so much time in our days too. So to spend time on something that if we don't really know what's going to happen yet, it seems like something that, you know, we don't have the extra time to spend on that because we're doing all this other stuff. So I'm not saying that your question is invalid, and certainly we would discuss that and what we would do with that if that did happen. But I feel like it's, like I said, a little before the cart before the horse in trying to go that direction.
Well, then you'd send an announcement, right? I mean, you notify us.
Yeah, I mean, I think we definitely would discuss how that would be set, and we would put that out, you know, to everybody what the decision was. It would be, you know, a board discussion, and we would, you know, have to look at all the ins and outs and you know, how that would work, and then make a decision on it. We certainly would address it if it comes to fruition, but right now it's just, you know. And that, you know, I pointed that out to the board this morning actually, because Thomas Stone, I don't know, you know, how much some of you follow this, but during the Bush administration, they had discussed this as well. Some of these smaller sport parks being transferred back to the state. Thomas Stone was one of those parks. So I think that, you know, if that happens, there's a chance of Thomas Stone being, you know, one of those parks, and they're our host park next year. So it is something that, you know, it's in discussion, but not that kind of discussion. So yeah, I think just when the time comes, you know, we certainly would discuss that and let everybody know. But right now, it's kind of too soon. Anybody else?
Yeah. Why is Hohokam and Molokai still in the 433? Because we can't visit them.
But they're still park units. They're still considered park units. That's why they're still on the list.
Well, hopefully you take those two.
Right.
I mean, that's the short answer. Yeah, I mean, that's the short answer to that. Right? When we get that question, how many times have we gotten that question? But yeah, and then for people out there, they were asking about the Hohokam Pima. And so, yeah, we get that question quite often, actually. Anybody else? Here?
So I'm not very forum smart in terms of websites I navigate. So I think as a new member, it's taken me a while to get used to, okay, how do I actually read this? How do I follow up on something on a question I asked previously? Because an old forum gets buried pretty quickly. So I don't know if there's any suggestions or guides on how to navigate the forums, or is there any way I can have it ping me if there's a new comment on a forum I started or anything?
There is. You can, and for people out there, the question is about when you post something online and it gets buried down and you want to know if there's been any comments or posts to it afterwards. There is an element where you can track the thread up in the right-hand corner of the forum post. You can choose to track that thread, and if anybody responds to it in the future, it will send you an email. And if you're the thread starter, it usually does that too, but I don't know how that works with if you potentially opt out of emails. I don't know. Does it still do that? Do you guys know if it still does that, even if you opt out of emails? It's still
Not if you opt out.
not if you opt out. So if you've opted out of receiving emails from the club, it may not do that. But there are possibilities for that. Steve?
Are you going to try again to announce the convention 2 years from now in the Rocky Mountain area prior to next year's convention?
Yes, we are. We have been aiming for 18 months. 2 years it's a little too early. It's hard to really get, especially with the parks, it's hard to get a commitment that far in advance. But yeah, we have been aiming for 18 months, and I know Craig's been looking at some things and potentially, might be able to, have some possibilities in the early part of next year. But right now, it's just,
Sure.
that's kind of the timeline we're aiming for.
Okay.
Yeah. Somebody in the back, Dave?
I just wanted to say about that meetup across America. I think there was a statistical anomaly in that too. We had about 4 different people and groups actually were very enthusiastic about doing meetups. They were all in the Midwest. I was in the Midwest. If I'd been in a different part of the country on that day, I would have jumped all over it and hosted a meetup. So it just happened to be that particular day was kind of difficult. So maybe if we do consider that, maybe if we did it across a couple of week time frame, it might make it a little bit easier. So we can take that discussion into the forum if you want. But
Yeah, I do think, again, for the people out there, the comment was about doing the Meetup Across America for this year had several events in the same region rather than in different regions.
Right.
And so, there was some discussion about potentially, putting that on the discussion on the forum about that and seeing if they could, I'm not sure what you were planning to discuss about that, but yeah. To me, the concept of Meetup Across America is that you're having a bunch of meetups on the same day. I get that you want to have one in every region, but it's still kind of cool to have a whole bunch of meetups on the same day, even if you're doing it at different parks only in, a certain little area. I think it's great that we have people, one, even having meetups, 2, having that many meetups on one day, and 3, kind of having that whole concept of meetups across America. It's kind of a, you know, it's kind of a good promotional kind of thing for the club. So, I mean, I certainly think it's worthwhile to do it. I know it's not what Connie originally intended with the idea, but I still think it's, you know, it's great to have. So that may be something that, you know, start a discussion in the forums about. And, you know, if this is something that you're really interested in doing, I suggest that you really get into the discussion on the forums, because if somebody asks the question, I know Connie even asked the question about whether this was something that was kind of dying out and didn't really get a lot of response for it. So if you don't want to see that kind of thing go away, I suggest you get involved in the discussion.
On that same subject matter,
Huh?
how far in advance, Connie, do you announce the date?
She announced the date for this year, last year's convention.
She did.
Well,
Yeah.
you just mentioned that you do an 18-month or you try for 18 months for telling a convention.
Yeah.
Perhaps the same kind of time frame if possible for the meetup across America, because personally, I'm usually someplace else.
Yeah, I mean, I think the original idea was to try to keep the same Saturday every year, just so people would know every year when it was. So I know that we changed it, I think, after the first year, because it didn't quite work out right. Maybe it was Father's Day weekend or something, but then they switched it to, like, I think it was like the first Saturday in June for like the next 3 years. So they were trying to keep it consistent so that people could plan every year, okay, this is when it's going to be. But, you know, again, it's something that if people think it should be, you know, a different day, or would be more likely to plan a meetup on a different day, that's something that we can discuss in the forums. And, you know, if it gets a lot of traction, then maybe that's something that they could do.
Well, the first Saturday in June is actually National Trails Day. So that worked out great for us because we hosted at the Ice Age National Trail. And I want to say, as being a host, I would encourage anyone to do it, because you get to really meet these rangers that dedicate themselves a lot. You see all what's involved with their jobs. We started having meetings very early. I mean, he knows as a host, and you know too, you start planning things way ahead. There's a lot of work. If you get speakers and all that, you meet people that are friends, you meet people that are in partnership. There's a lot involved in it, but it's really rewarding because you're giving of yourself, and you don't have to necessarily walk away from that place either, because we're hoping to continue to volunteer because there's that Volunteers in the Park. And it was just, to meet a superintendent and be able to sit down and talk with these people and meet with these people, you just learn a lot. It's really rewarding to do so. But the first Saturday in June is National Trails Day across the board. And I don't know how often our trails, our national trails from the Appalachian to the California Trail or whatever. Yeah. They're, you know, are they really recognized as much? No. Just a lot.
I'm not talking about meetups. I mean, if that's still a discussion on the floor, I'll set that down.
No, you're good.
So this morning I had the privilege of listening to Tom Wright and Dave Cruz, and I'd just like to thank the folks that put that together to open these. I didn't get to listen to Ted's Alaska talks and planning, but it was very worthwhile, very well attended. I'd like to thank Carl and Connie for getting these things kind of put together and allowing us the room space. If you haven't heard, Cardinal Dave Cruz and the record attempt presentation, very worthwhile. It may be put online for if you didn't get to attend it. So thank you for making that happen for us this morning.
Yeah.
the extra stuff. I think a lot of people enjoyed that. We had a lot of people in attendance for those events, so yeah, we definitely appreciate their time and efforts in that. And you know, like I said, the post-convention survey is coming out tomorrow, or should be. Looking at the IT guys over there, they told me it was happening. We encourage you, fill those out. You know, we're making it electronically. All it is, you know, several clicks and you're done. So we really do use that information, so please do fill those out, and that really makes it helpful for us to know what's popular, what's not popular, and those, so we can spend our, you know, time planning things accordingly, because we don't want to plan a bunch of stuff that nobody wants to do, obviously. Okay, I don't want to belabor this too much longer. We're past 4 o'clock already, so we're going to get to the door prize drawings. Everybody who paid to attend the meeting today should have a ticket. And did you need to go? Or you can grab it. Thank you for your efforts. No, it's okay. Okay, well, we're going to get started with this. I'm going to have Pat. Where's Pat? Pat, where are you at? Where's Pat? Ah, get up here. So Pat, once again, has made a beautiful quilt. But I have to rib her on this because she apparently forgot to change her template for the label because it says 2024 on it. Now she has to take it back home and redo it. Yes. Show the people the quilt.
So I start this is the third one, and this corresponds to the color of the region. And I thought, great. Barbara.
Barbara, where's Barbara Jacobs? Yeah, Barbara has
And
one.
Rob Block.
Rob Blank.
Blank, sorry.
Rob Blank won last year.
That says 2024, that should be mine.
You can have the label.
You already spent enough remodeling your house because of the other ones. Okay.
So yeah, we're going to draw for this first. This is, gonna let a random party. You're not random. You're biased. I can't. No, if you made it. Or you'll read it. I'll read it. All right, everybody got your tickets? All right, 414-649.
Here. Okay. Turn around. Your mom's trying to take a picture of you.
Okay. How many people are planning to attend next year? Show of hands. Okay, so next year our hotel contract is giving us comp nights. We're going to give away some of those comp nights. I believe the rate is, I'm not going to be quoted on this because I haven't gone back and looked at the contract, but I believe our contract's it's $159 a night. So this is a huge prize. The first one's going to be 2 nights, and then we're going to have 4 that are 1 night. Okay, first one, this is going to be 2 nights stay. 414-788. It's done. Now you got to draw. Okay, now I got 4 more here that are 1 night each, okay? Where's the hotel? What's the hotel? No, I'm not telling you where the hotel is. I'm not telling you, you're not calling this hotel. Not until we get the box set up. Okay. 414-663. Monica. You got to draw. Okay. Okay, next one is 414-618. 618.
It's a half-hour drive from home, so give it to somebody else.
You said a half an hour.
Yeah, put the number back.
Yeah, put the number back. What? Oh, he said that he wants to put his back in and take something out. Yeah, this is only for next year. So if you're not attending, it's not going to do you any good, the prize. It's not like you can go to the next year's convention and have, it's only for next year because we have the rooms as part of the contract.
But I will be there.
Yeah, so he's only a half an hour away, so he's not gonna stay at the convention hotel. So that's why he's saying put that in. Okay, next number, 414-772.
She did.
We got two more. All right, 414-741.
Ah, Johnny.
Okay, last one. 414-670. Okay, so now we're going to give away, we have three really nice gift baskets here. These have we've been giving these away for a few years. They have a $50 gift certificate to a place called US Park Pass. You can go on there and you can buy your Park Pass, the Mary the Beautiful passes on there, and they have a lot of other stuff on there, books and cups, mugs and all kinds of stuff that you can get with this. But it's a $50 gift card plus a number of other things in the basket here. So the next number is 414-688. Oh, you don't have to wait. Oh, I don't need it. Draw the next slippery one. All right, 414-671. 671. Okay, next basket, 414-686. Hey. Okay, so the next one's going to be for, we have the traditional certificates we've been doing for the President's Dinner, t-shirt or swag item, and 1 year, 2 year membership renewal or 1 year if you want to give it to a friend. It's basically $10 value. So you can get 2 years of your membership for free, or you can give it to a friend. So we're going to do the dinners first. This is for a President's Dinner. You can use this at any future convention, so you don't have to be coming next year. If you wanted to wait to use it, you can use it at any future convention. So the first number is going to be 414650. All right, so the next dinner, 414611. 414611. It's not going to do you any good to have this out. Okay, last dinner. 414631. 631. Okay, next we're going to give away the t-shirt, the swag stuff. So this is good if you want. You can use this for either, like this year the last few years we have the mugs. So you can either use it to get a t-shirt or the mug, whatever the items that we're selling at the table. You can use it for any of those. So the first number is 414676. 676.
You already won.
Okay, next number, 414786. 786.
Uh-oh, what's your last name? Sorry, I'm trying to figure out how to spell her last name.
Okay, this is the last t-shirt or swag item. 414747. Okay, we have a couple of donations here, stuff we got from Eastern National. We also have a really cool game that someone gave us. It's like, I think it's like $30 or something. Not cheap. So I'm going to do those things. We're going to do, this is a passport backpack and a hat, National Parks hat. So we're going to do that with the next ticket. 414723. It's called Trailblazer John Muir Trail. It's a board game. Pretty intricate here. So the next number is 414-746. Okay, so we have 2 bags here of goodies that we got from Eastern National. You already have passport stuff that, maybe you gifted to a friend, but a whole bunch of stuff in the bag for you. It's also a couple of nice shower steamers. Next number, 414-710. Robbie?
That's a good idea.
Okay, next one. 414-587. 587. Here.
That's for Karen.
Okay, we're going to move on to, we have 3 of the, I mentioned before, the membership. So this would be either 2 years for you, or if you want to gift it to someone else, a free 1-year membership for them. First number is 414-601. Okay, next one is 414-728.
Yeah, I know. We got one more, right?
Okay, last one. Last number, 414-714. 714? I did! Is your wife? You know that only happened because I really stuff the tickets. Okay, so Greg just made a suggestion to me. The hotel rooms for next year, obviously, like I said, you have to be going, and you have to use it next year. So he suggested maybe we draw a couple of backups, just in case people end up not being able to come that have the certificate. But I feel like, Craig, that person should be able to give it to who they want. Because they want it, and they should be able to pass it to someone else if they want. So that's just how I feel about it. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I feel like if you win, you should be able to decide if you want to give something. You should have kept it. I didn't tell you to give it away.
Yvonne, do we have a count as far as how many people attended this year's convention?
I know we had 240 registered. Not everybody's in the meeting. I think we only have about 240. But that, we usually put that in the minutes. Okay, who wants to see what we're doing next year? Where is Jim? Jim, make sure you get this list that we made of all the people for this country. Again, the dates are, we're planning July 15th to the 19th, that's a Wednesday to Sunday. It's in Waldorf, Maryland, the Thomas Stone National Historic Site. Is our host park. And thanks to everyone for coming. For those that, they're insisting on doing this torch. Okay. Torch. Go ahead.
The convention host this year, Mark Hayad, is now going to pass the torch on to next year's host, President
God have mercy on your soul.
It might be time for a new torch. What do you know? I'll be sure to display this in my living room. Okay, so just a reminder, we will be back in here for dinner. If you're attending the President's Dinner tonight, we will be back in this room. Dinner will be at 7:30. We won't have a bar, so be sure to go to the hotel's happy hour if you're there and get a drink on there. We will have tea, coffee, water, those types of things, but there won't be a bar. And you're not supposed to bring drinks in, so just, go to the happy hour, have a good time, and then we'll be over here at 7. Dinner will start at 7:30. All right, meeting adjourned.
Hey, if anybody wants to last the map, I